So please listen with the proper Mahayana motivation, which is to attain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. And the teaching that we are going to begin with today is something called it's part of the 16 incompatible propensities, or there were 8 intrusive circumstances that leave no freedom to practice the Dharma, which we covered last week. And this week we are going to cover something called the 8 incompatible propensities that leave no freedom to practice the Dharma. So all in all, these are the 16 sort of obstacles that we face. So if we, by reflecting upon our own inner self, if we possess any of those 16 incompatible attributes, then we have to give them up. We have to get rid of them. So what we are going to cover today is something called the 8 incompatible propensities that leave no freedom to practice the Dharma. So let me just go through the first one then. Okay. So the first of the 8 incompatible propensities that leave no freedom to practice the Dharma is the first of which is that one is tightly bound to the worldly commitments. In other words, a strong tendency to be attached to this life, this world, the life in the world in this lifetime, such as commitment to wealth, pleasures, children, relatives, and so on and so forth. So they are so preoccupied with the efforts that they have to, the strenuous effort that they have to put forward in order to keep these things, in order to increase these things, in order to maintain these things, that they are so much preoccupied that they have no time to practice the Dharma. So one understanding of the Dharma is that Dharma means to uphold, and it is to uphold the mind. And another form of, so Dharma is quite an ambiguous word, meaning to uphold. And it can mean, usually when we talk about Dharma, we are talking about upholding the mind. And here we can think of Dharma as something to uphold the mind, in upholding the mind for a long term. So when we are bound by our worldly commitments, which belongs to this lifetime alone, we're thinking short-term benefit, which is not really helping to uphold the mind. So in this respect, to uphold the mind, one has to look for, of course, this life is very important. We have to live. We have to, be social. We are social animals, so we have to engage, interact with people. We have to take care of other people. We have to look after ourselves, and so on and so forth. But if you are totally preoccupied by these things, and then think of nothing other than just to simply put, just to eat, sleep, and excrete, to eat, sleep, and then just excrete, then you are no better than an animal. So therefore, as a human being, we have this marvelous intellect, and then with that we can actually build something forward, something beyond this lifetime. And in order to do that, one should not be totally preoccupied by the trappings of this life, the present life alone, by accumulating wealth or pleasure, or taking care of children or relatives, and so on and so forth. So one has to understand the approach of the moderation that one has to uphold. The text does not say that one should not have wealth or pleasure or children, but it should be in moderation, so that it does not it does not curtail your practices. It does not curtail your practices to develop your mind and your spiritual practices. So therefore, the first of the 8 incompatible propensity is to be bound by worldly commitments. Let me just very quickly continue the 8 incompatible propensities, and then we will just bring up the Q&A. Okay. The second is lacking humanity. So if you are lacking any scrap of humanity, and your nature is so depraved that you are unable to improve your behavior, then even a genuine spiritual teacher would find it very difficult to set you free, set you on the noble path, and then eventually set you free, liberate you. As the sublime beings of the past have said, the abilities of a disciple can be shaped, but not his basic character, not his natural character. So what it means here is that so this is something that His Holiness always says a lot, and then I myself also repeat that to myself and to my friends. So to become a Buddhist, to become a good Buddhist practitioner, or to become a good Buddhist, it's very important first to become a good human being. If you are a very bad human being, then you cannot call yourself a good Buddhist. Being very negative, being very cruel, being very manipulative to other people, and at the same time doing your mantras and doing a meditation and saying, okay, I'm a very good Buddhist practitioner, so I do this and this and that. This may seem negative, but because I do Vajrasattva and I do this and that Dharma practices, I'm superior or I'm better than the rest. This is a wrong view, and that is actually exactly one of the reasons why religion is seen as something in the world of intellectuals. That is why religion is seen as something very negative, because it actually gives you the the free pass to do anything you like. So you do anything you like, anything negative, you kill people, you do anything. And at the end of the day, if you repent, if you regret, if you repent, and if you, let's say, do 100,000 Vajrasattva or do some prostration or whatever, or maybe if you make a huge donation to a monastery or to a temple or Rinpoche, then your sins, your negativities are all washed away and all gone. So that actually gives you a free pass to do anything you like, so that later on you can, come back and, be put on. It's like, there is a long queue, and instead of sitting at the queue, you pay someone, like you skip the queue, and then when your turn is up, you just run into the queue by giving a huge amount to somebody. So there is like that kind of shortcut, that kind of under the table sort of thing, So this is one of the reasons why religion in general is seen as something negative, because it gives people the power to do whatever they like. It gives them the authority to do whatever they like, and then just label it by saying, okay, I'm doing it under the name for my religion, right? So it happened in India, it happened in Tibet, it happened all over the world. It happened in Christianity, it happened in Hinduism, it happened in Buddhism, and everywhere. So this is something very it's something that we have to be very careful. So the point is, if you don't become a good person, if you don't change your character, if you don't improve your character, if you don't try to make yourself a better person, but instead try to follow the rituals and follow the all the external instructions of the teachings, then you will become a very powerful bad person. You will become a very powerful tantric practitioner who can do a lot of harm to other people. And but in strict terms of the name Buddhism, you are not a Buddhist yet. So to be a Buddhist, it is important to be a good person first. And if you read the core line in the Buddha's teaching, the Dharma, it is actually telling you how to become a good person. So it is important because, of course, we are not all perfect. So when we first come to the Buddhism, it is not because we are perfect. We come to Buddhism, we learn Buddhism, we study Buddhism, and we embrace Buddha Dharma because we want to improve ourselves. And that is very important. The first of all, what you have to do is improve yourself to become a better person. And as a good person, as a better person, then you can practice the Dharma, and then you become a good Dharma practitioner. Otherwise, you become a rigid follower of the external instructions of the Buddha's teaching, but not exactly a Buddhist or a follower of the Buddha Dharma. So you're not all in all, you're not doing justice to the Dharma, to the Buddha, to the Sangha, if you are not following, if you don't try yourself to become a good person. Instead, if you just follow the external instruction and try to change your external behavior and external appearance alone, then it's like changing your clothes. So in the movies you see sometimes some people they do a murderous act, they do some bad things, and then they change into another clothes and escape the police, or they change cars. Cops and robbers, they change cars and then escape the police. So that doesn't mean they're doing anything good. It's just that they're just able to escape the eyes of the law. That just because they are able to escape the eyes of the law doesn't mean that they did something right. They did something bad in a very good way. So the point here is that you have to understand. You have to make sure that you become a good person. So many people say, I haven't had much experience, much change after my practices, right? So I think many of us are actually looking for significant changes, like, oh, am I able to have clairvoyance? Am I able to see emptiness directly? Am I able to fly in the sky? Or, like something marvelous, something magical. If you are really following the Buddha Dharma, just look at yourself, not in the form of the marvelous actions or the marvelous activities, or in the form of in the magical realm, but in the earthly realm, in the realistic world, and see how much you have improved. Like how, if you used to be a short-tempered, and if you used to be a very angry person before, like how much have you changed after embracing Buddhism in the last 10 years? Last 3 years, last 10 months, so on and so forth. So if there are significant changes or slight changes in that respect, then it means your Dharma practices are working. So Dharma practice is actually down to earth, and it is realistic. It is realistically grounded. It is not magical. It is not something ethereal. It is not something. You can call it marvelous or not, but it is not magic. Dharma practice is not magic. It is realistically grounded. So the sooner you understand that, the sooner you realize that, the better it is for you, for two reasons. One, because then you get more confidence. You become more confident enough to practice more, and so on and so forth. And another thing, the moment you start believing that Dharma is a magical thing, then nobody can fool you. Many people have this. We meet charlatans a lot these days. There are many people, good preachers, who can speak very eloquently, very nicely, and maybe do some magical things, and then make you feel as, oh, okay, then you get duped, you get fooled, you get that happens a lot. So the earlier you realize that Dharma is not magic, then you become foolproof. then no one can fool you. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So just as a reminder, so this teaching, when we go to Dharma talk, Dharma teaching, think of the teaching. Hello? Yeah. So think of the Dharma teaching as an instruction. So what we normally do with the instruction, we take the instruction and then follow up with the instruction. You can analyze, you can just, this is not a physical instruction, so you don't have to do anything. Just think of what I just mentioned, whether it's with you perfectly or not, whether it fits with the reasoning that you provide, and so on and so forth. Follow it. If it doesn't, then just leave it aside. But that's one of the main reasons why I keep saying you have to listen to Dharma teachings a lot. So if you listen to many Dharma talks, unless of course it confuses you, if it confuses you, then maybe it's better to listen to only one teaching that's better for you. But if your mind can handle it, then listen to many Dharma teachings. So then you can learn a lot, and then you can analyze which practice to put into which instructions to put into practices. But since they are all mental instructions, you can always analyze them without any physical exertion. So that is important. So just remember what I just said, and then recall what I just mentioned. Today's teaching or any other teaching, just recall them, just remember them, and think about them, and then not just today, not just now, but also like for the week until the next teaching. You can think about those things, and then maybe next week or in some other time you may have questions regarding this and that instruction that I have given, and then you can just ask them. So make it useful, make it practical. Dharma should not, as I said, Dharma should be grounded in realities. It should not be up there in the thin air, ethereal. There is one point of Dharma which we can follow ritually. So that is also necessary. But when we are giving teaching, the key teaching should be thought of as an instruction. So they should be followed up. So it's perfectly okay. It is perfectly fine to use the Dharma as a healing session, as a therapy, as a feel-good activity. But that should not be the main goal. If that is your main goal, then the Dharma is helpful only that much. But my main point here is that Dharma can be more helpful, has more potential to give you much more than that. So this should not be your main goal. But of course, once in a while, you can use Dharma as a feel-good activity, as a therapy session, or things like that. It's perfectly fine. So, but that should not be your main goal. Just remember, whenever you use Dharma as a feel-good activity or as a therapy session, just remember that Dharma has more potential. When I'm back to normal, when I'm back to my normal state, when I'm back to my balanced state, then I will certainly use Dharma for much more than this. The suffering that one is going through in this lifetime, if the person is not bothered by any of these things, then that person will be very good into it. Because in order to if you are not bothered by if you are not bothered by what's happening on yourself, then you have no idea what's going on, what suffering is. So some people are some indifferent towards suffering, or in other words, some people are kind of like giving up hope, and then they think like, okay, nothing is going to change whatever I do, so just let me just um, let me just give up everything, and then they give up morality, ethic, and everything, and maybe they give into drugs or do a lot of negative things, um, or just totally um, total totally losing belief in humanity and losing belief um, um, in act of goodness, in act of uh, morality and ethics. So for such a person, it'll be very difficult for to be brought into the path of the Dharma. Mm. Because that person is indifferent towards one's own suffering. And if you are indifferent towards your own suffering, then you cannot be, that person cannot have any, a person cannot be bothered or burdened by other people's suffering. So if you are not burdened by your own suffering and other people's suffering, then you miss out on two very important things. So if you remember our teaching few months ago, we went on the teachings of the three principal aspects of the path, which is the renunciation and bodhicitta. So if you are indifferent towards the suffering that you are going through, then you will never be able to generate renunciation. If you don't feel anything about your own pain, then you cannot feel about other people's pain as well. Um, uh, so when you can't feel other people's pain, you can't feel bodhicitta, you can't generate bodhicitta towards them. You can't feel compassionate towards them. So if you miss out on compassion and renunciation, then you will never be able to actually merge into the path towards nirvana. So therefore, for such a person, people who are indifferent towards one's own and other people's suffering, it will be very difficult for them to bring into the path. So the next one is someone who is lacking faith in the Dharma and faith in the teacher, of course. So for such a person, it will be very difficult to reap the benefits of the teachings, because then that person has no faith in the Dharma and the teacher, just that. So very simply put, if somebody says, okay, this is a very good diet, that if you take that diet, then you will be able to lose your weight and you'll be able to have a fit body and a healthy body and so on and so forth. If you don't believe in that person and if you don't believe in that diet, then you will never take that diet, never take that instruction, and then you can never benefit from that diet. So for the first of all, you need to be able to trust that person who is giving you that diet. Maybe that person is a doctor or a nutritionist or somebody. And then the diet is something that is, if that diet is actually on the internet and is been reviewed by many people, then you can pretty much say, okay, this is quite a reliable diet, and maybe I will follow it. So if it is an unreliable diet, similarly, if it is you will not follow it. So similarly, if you don't believe in that particular teaching, and if you have no faith in that particular teacher, then you will no longer follow it. So this is not talking about one particular teaching, but in general, if you have no faith in the Dharma in general, if you have no faith in the guru, the system of the guru or teacher in the Buddha Dharma, so which for some people it actually is quite suffocating. They feel like, okay, I don't want to, I like the practice of Buddhism. Meditation is good, breathing is good, peace, that's very good. But to follow a teacher, that is very authoritarian. So I don't want to, that I'm giving up all my freedom. I don't want to do that. I want to be free. I want to be, liberated. I want to be liberated. So I don't want to be tied down by, I don't want to follow a particular teacher, a particular person. Why should I follow that particular instruction of that particular person? And so that is the thing. But then the so if you are such a person, then it will be very difficult for you to practice to benefit from the Buddha Dharma, because you are no longer in order to refuge. I think maybe that's a very good question. We talk about refuge a lot. So what do you think a refuge is? What is a refugee in general? Normally there in the world there are many refugees. So when we take refuge in the Buddha Dharma Sangha, we become a refugee in the realm of the Buddha Dharma and Sangha. A refugee is someone who actually has given up. Okay, so in the present world, in terms of the present global situation, if you are a refugee from, let's say, if you are a refugee from Afghanistan, that means you have given total hope in Afghanistan, and then maybe you are seeking asylum in another country. So that means you are seeking refuge. You have totally given up and the hopes and everything, support everything from your own government, and you want another country to support you, help you, and raise you up. Similarly, what we are doing with taking refuge is that we are totally giving up in the life that we the life that we are living, which is samsaric life, the lifestyle and everything. We are totally fed up. We actually want to be delivered from that life to a better life, to a life that is liberated, a life that is that has eternal peace, a nirvana. And so refuge is all about giving up. Refuge is all about you know the what is the word? It's about giving up, and it's not about holding on to your whatever realities that you have projected upon yourself. And but that giving up, that not holding, not holding on to that reality which you are stuck, not holding on to, and not being stuck in the reality, presumed reality that you have made for yourself. That is what taking refuge is. So in this regard, if you are not ready to give yourself in totally to a teacher, to another person, if you think you are independent and I'm fully independent, I should be free to do whatever I like and all this kind of thing, then of course that's your right. You can do whatever you like, but you will not be able to derive the benefits of the Buddha Dharma in this regard. Yeah. Okay, so next two are kind of similar. One is on the opposite side. One is on the positive side, and the one is on the negative side. So the one is which is if you are taking pleasure in negative actions, and if you have no intention to drop your negative thoughts, action, and speech, then it's very difficult for you to benefit from the Dharma. It will be very difficult for one to grow qualities, improve your spiritual qualities, positive qualities by practicing the Dharma. The other thing is, if you have no interest in the Dharma, then again it's the same thing as a dog eating grass. So since you have no enthusiasm, you will not be practicing. Whatever you do, whatever practices that you engage in, you will be doing it half-heartedly. So therefore, it is of no use. So yeah, these are the sixth and fifth and the sixth instructions. And the last two is after having entered the basic vehicle, if you break vows and commitments to the Bodhisattva, then of course it will be more it'll be more harmful than beneficial. So after having entered the basic vehicle, whatever vows that you may have taken, whatever commitment that you have made, you should be able to uphold them. You should take care of them. If you don't, then you will have to reap the consequences. And the same goes to the secret mantra vehicle or the Vajrayana. After, if you break your Samaya, if you break your commitments to your teacher or to your spiritual brethren, then this will ruin all the hard work that you have done so far. And so therefore, as a Dharma practitioner, you should be ready to commit yourself to uphold the vows and commitments in the basic vehicle as well as in the secret mantra vehicle. And that is the 8 propensities that lead one away from the Dharma. And so this is the so all in all, there are 16 instances which what we call the lack of freedom in practicing the Dharma. And so this concludes today's teaching. Questions, please?
Prostrate to Rinpoche. For a person who is good in nature, but he is not a Buddhist practitioner, but for some reason he can manifest all the qualities of a high Dharma practitioner. Can he be born in the high or in the same realm as the high Dharma practitioners do? Thank you, Rinpoche.
Yeah. Yeah. So as I said earlier, Buddha Dharma is grounded in basic reality. So therefore, what the Buddha is teaching, what the Buddha is telling us, do this and don't do, you must do this and you must don't do this, the do's and the don'ts. The instructions of the Buddha is basically grounded in basic realities. And so when the Buddha says, if you harm others, you will have negative consequences. When you help others, there will be positive consequences, benefits. He's not saying, okay, if you do a good thing, I'm going to reward you this. If you do a bad thing, I'm going to punish you. So that is a very that is the understanding in a theistic religion, right? In Buddha Dharma, Buddha is not saying I'm going to punish you, I'm going to reward you if you do good thing or bad thing. So he's basically saying this is the right way, that is the wrong way. So do whatever you like. Buddha does not force you to be a good person. Buddha does not, force you to be a good person. One has to understand that. So in this regard, whether you are a Buddhist practitioner, whether you take refuge in the Buddha Dharma Sangha or not, if you follow the instructions of the Buddha in general, which is to help others, which is to benefit others and not harm others, refrain from harming others when you are when you are tempted to do so and so forth. When you do those things, you accumulate a lot of positive karmas, and that positive karma will certainly deliver you to a higher realm. So it is not a matter of whether you are a good Buddhist practitioner or not. If you follow the law of nature, Buddha's teaching is basically based in law of nature. If you do good things, good thing will come. If you do bad things, bad thing will come. So even if you are not a Buddhist practitioner, if you follow the instructions of the Buddha in the sense of keeping the 10 virtuous deeds and withdrawing from the 10 non-virtuous deeds, then you will certainly be born in the same realm as someone who is a Buddhist practitioner. Okay, next please.
Rinpoche, can you please explain more about Samaya and how a Dharma practitioner can break it?
Oh yeah, very good question. So Samaya is like a bond, and a bond is developed upon trust. So as a Dharma practitioner, as a Dharma brethren, as a Dharma brotherhood, Dharma sisterhood, you develop there's affinity amongst the Sangha to follow a certain teaching, to follow a certain guru, and so on and so forth. And one has to remember that the fact that we are we are practicing the Dharma. You know, we are practicing the Dharma in order to attain enlightenment for the sake of other sentient beings. So that is why we keep saying this in the very beginning, very important. We are practicing the Dharma to benefit others, not just to make yourself grander, you know. It's not like a business venture where, you know, you want to outwit others. So in this regard, all the Sangha members, all the people who are part of the Sangha receiving the teaching from the same teacher, they have this affinity towards one teacher, one teaching, and then, you know, there is that sort of like bond. It's a familial bond, like a family. Actually, more than a family, because one family is only connected by blood, and by blood is physical, and it's only this lifetime. But the bond, the spiritual bond, that can have a connection in afterlife as well. So when you make that bond, when you build that bond, when you build that connection, it is based upon trust. It's based upon love. There is affinity and all that. So when you develop animosity, enmity, jealousy, and other things towards your fellow brother and Dharma, spiritual brothers and sister, then you are actually, it is actually eroding on the trust. It's actually eroding on that bond which has been built, which has been made during the special occasion of receiving the teaching from a teacher. So I'm not going to talk about the teacher. I'm going to talk about the Dharma spiritual brothers and sisters in general. So I think we talk about, you know, breaking bond with the teacher. That is a subject that we covered many times. So when we break that bond, then it becomes very so in our day-to-day life, if you have a very strong bond with a certain person, let's if as a family, as a lover, as a business partner, whatever, if you have a very strong bond, and then when you break that bond, then it actually weakens you. To some people, it actually completely destroys that person. And similarly, when you break the bond, when you break the Samaya, you are actually breaking the bond with the bond that you have with a certain person. And when you do that, of course, it's extremely harmful. It's extremely the negative, the influence and the negative impact will be so strong, and it will help. It will actually hinder the growth of your Dharma practices. So, for example, if you receive, let's say, one particular, let's say you received the initiation of Manjushri from a certain guru, and then you have like 5-7 people all together. And then after some time you break the bond with your teacher or one of the person in the group, then it will be very difficult for you to grow spiritually in that in Manjushri practices, because you have broken that bond. So what one has to understand here is there are two types of most of the time when we have a problem with our Sangha member is because we start talking behind their back, right? And there are two types of things. One is based in reality, one is not based in reality. One is just an assumption, like one is just gossip. So one should distance oneself from gossiping about other Sangha members. So if there is if another Sangha member is doing something very negative, something very bad, then you can talk about it. We can discuss that openly. We can discuss that. We can discuss that for the sake of that other member, so that he or she can improve. But gossiping is not good. Yeah.
Next question, Rinpoche. We have one more. Prostrate to Rinpoche. As a layperson, will have to do worldly commitments. Will you please tell us what is the reasonable arrangement between Dharma practice and conventional duties? Thank you, Rinpoche.
Very good question, very practical question. So this is the thing. Normally, even people who, so when you live in when you are living a worldly life, maybe with a partner who is not attuned towards Dharma practices, with the Dharma, then you may have some problem, right? If you have no partner, if you are by yourself, then you have much more freedom. But if you have a partner who is attuned to the Buddha Dharma, who is conducive to the Dharma practices, and if he or she is a Dharma practitioner, much more helpful. If that is not the case, then there's another. The alternative is this. So usually in the morning time or in the late night, before going to bed, these are the times that you have that's your leisure time. You have your own time. So this time you can dedicate to practicing the ritualistic Dharma. By ritualistic Dharma, I mean doing prostration, reciting mantra, reciting books, meditation, and all this kind of thing. Meditation as in with a meditation pose, like, sitting like this, with a meditation pose. This is what I call ritualistic Dharma. So these kind of ritualistic Dharma you can do early morning and late night when your partner is, like not snooping over what you are doing. But you can do Dharma practice for 24/7. 24/7. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can do Dharma practices without anyone hindering, without anyone obstructing your Dharma practices. So how is that possible? Very simple. As I said before, Dharma means to uphold. Dharma, basic meaning of Dharma just is, Dharma doesn't mean religion, Dharma doesn't mean Buddha's teaching, anything like that. It is one of the references of Dharma, but Dharma in general in Sanskrit means to uphold. So what we are upholding our mind. So when we are upholding our mind from engaging in negative activities and making sure that we are engaged in positive activities. So in order to do that, this is one particular practice that His Holiness does. There is a short excerpt, there is a short quote from His Holiness, which he normally does. He does every day, and something that I follow as well, and maybe it'll be helpful for you too. So what we do usually is this, very simple, okay? Very simple. So I give you only two practices. One is early morning when you wake up, early morning. The first thing you do is after waking up, close eye, open eye, doesn't matter, okay? Sleeping or not, lying down or up, doesn't matter. Whatever position you are in, the moment you wake up to this, just be very grateful that you are awake today. You are awake means you are alive. You are given a new life, Yesterday, life is gone and you are given a new life. It's a new leaf. It's a new life. So be grateful that you have a new life, whether it's due to your past positive karma, whether it's the blessing of your teachers, whether it's blessing of the Buddha, whatever, you are able to wake up, open your eyes, you are able to breathe in and breathe out, you are able to think, you are able to contemplate. You have all those abilities, tremendous abilities you have with you. So just be very grateful, first thing. Now you have such a tremendous ability. What are you going to do with this tremendous ability, this powerful thing called mind, intellect? I'm going to use it for something negative, to fool people, to lie to people, to cheat people, to make others suffer. Am I going to use that? Should I use that? Should I use my mind, my body, my speech for that reason? Or should I use it for something more meaningful, to make others' life easier, make myself happier, make my family happier, make my surroundings happier, my community better, so on and so forth? Should I use for that reason? Of course, you would. Naturally, I hope you would select the second one, and just make that commitment, and that keep, remind yourself just make that commitment that you are going to use your day fruitfully, meaningfully. Okay? If you are a Dharma practitioner, of course, if you have some practices, daily practices, then okay, also make the, you can start doing those practices mentally. Actually, all the practices that you do verbally, you can actually do them mentally. This is called mental recitation. It is actually more difficult and more powerful than the verbal recitation. Verbal recitation or manipat mein hum like that. Verbal recitation gives you instant sort of like relief, but mental ones does not give you instant relief. But when it starts coming, then you can realize and then you will feel how much alive and how much awakened you are. Anyway, so this is the thing, okay? Just promise to yourself, just commit yourself to do that. You will use all your abilities for the better, for the good. So the whole day, keep that motivation, keep that intention. That's what His Holiness always say about, shaping motivation in the morning. That's what His Holiness says that. So you can shape your motivation for 10 minutes, 1 hour, half an hour, whatever you like. So shape your motivation. Keep shaping. It's like a molding your motivation. You make a mold, and in the mold that you can make whatever shape the mold is, you can create that kind of cups, that kind of statue, whatever. Similarly, mold your motivation in such a way. And then in the course of the day, you will have to argue with people. You will have to maybe cheat people, because if you're in a business, you may have to cheat people, this and that. But every now and then, just remember, I should not do this. Oh, I should have done this. Just remember what your actual mission is for the day. Okay? And then at the end of the day, evening time, also think of all what you have done, all the positive things you have done, all the negative things you have done, and for all the positive things, be grateful. All the negative things, repent. So this practice is called dedication. So all the good things, you become grateful. You dedicate that. To the Pure Land. So basically, you are doing Dharma practices 24/7. And when you are about to sleep, you can also think of something positive, like practicing, compassion for other beings, or a loving kindness. So there are many different practices. So whatever practices that you can think of, you don't have to sit up and do anything. Just lie down and think of something positive. And this is the very beautiful thing. Dream is actually a mental factor, is a mind. Okay, very important. And dream is one of the mental factor, which what we call in Tibetan we call it Shingyu. In English, it's quite transformative. That if you sleep in a positive mindset, the whole dream becomes virtuous dream, virtuous mind. So if you, in the course of the dream, if you are sleeping for 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, the whole of your dream will, all the time you are sleeping, you are actually accumulating merit and virtue. Okay, so if you sleep with a negative mindset, okay, like okay, maybe I want to cheat somebody tomorrow, I have to get revenge over this and that. If you sleep with a negative mindset, if you sleep for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6, 7 hours, all your mind, all the whole night, you will be accumulating negative consequences, negative karma. So keep this in mind. So then you sleep, and then next morning you wake up and you begin the circle again. So 24/7 you are doing Dharma practices. Okay.
We are done with the questions.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's do dedication now, yeah? Yewan de ye nyurdo da lama sangye drupyo. Zhawa che jang ma lue ba ke ge sala. Go sem jwa rembo che ma ye ba na ma ge gyo. Yewa nyamba me bora. Me Jin Jin Ri